Level up your LA Kings experience with Vivid Seats Elite Seats. All the on-ice Kings action with even more exclusive access and rewards. Enjoy great seats to the game in Section 103 along with Yamava Club access and parking included with your purchase. Plus, get a free Team LA Kings shop item at the game. Score your Vivid Seats Elite Seats tickets today and earn perks on each purchase from the only leading ticket company with a rewards program. Experience it live with Vivid Seats, the official partner of the LA Kings. Do you know the LA Kings have their own culinary partner? It's Superfood, celebrating 10 years and over 1 million meals served. Since 2020, the Kings have trusted Superfood to fuel their players. Now through Simply Lunch, you can bring that same performance-driven food to your office. Because when people eat better, they work better. Visit mysuperfood.com. That's mysuperfd.com. Or call 213-973-6145. Qualified companies can enjoy a free lunch for up to 10 managers.
You're listening to All the Kings Men, the official podcast of the LA Kings. Now, here's your host, Jesse Cohen.
All right, welcome back to another episode of All the Kings Men. My name is Jesse Cohen. Joining me from Helsinki, Finland, hockey enthusiast, friend of the show, Kasurinen. How are you doing today, Krister?
Very, very good. Thank you. Actually, Finland is already experiencing summer, and I don't know if you kind of heard from somewhere, for example, beating Team Canada and everything. We won the gold medal just a couple of days ago. So,
well, congratulations.
Yeah.
You and I have talked about this before, Krister, because we've had you on plenty of times and talking about prospects. I admire the Finnish hockey approach because every tournament in my lifetime that I can remember, international, Olympics, WJC, IIHF tournaments, whatever, Finland is never talked about as being, one of the major contenders. And yet it feels like every time at the medal rounds, there they are collecting a medal.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Finland has probably the most consistent identity when it comes to sort of approach to playing hockey. And it's an approach that I admire and respect. I like Finnish hockey, and I like that they never seem to be the favorite. And yet, when you're doing the Four Nations tournament, it's Finland, right? It isn't Germany, it isn't Russia, it isn't. Well, I guess it can't be Russia, but you know what I mean. It's Finland. It's always Finland. Finland never goes away. Finland is always there. Finland is always quietly collecting medals, and it's that mentality that made me. We're going to talk about Finnish prospects who might go in the top 50 in this year's draft. And full disclosure, Krister, I had never heard of the first guy we're going to talk about until I did a mock draft. And his name was available as the top ranked player. And once I started looking into this guy, because I was like, all right, well, I never heard of him, but I'll take him in this mock draft, whatever. Then I started watching highlight packages of him. Then I started watching interviews with him. Then I started reading about him. We're talking about Oliver Suvanto.
Yes.
6'3" center out of Tappara. I don't think I've ever wanted a Kings. I don't think I can't remember a time where I wanted the Kings to draft a prospect more than I want the Kings to take. I want him to be available at 17 in the first round, and I want the Kings to draft him.
Yes, and concerning him as well as three other guys we are talking about today.
Yeah.
They actually come from the most successful Finnish organization in the last 10 years. I just checked the data, and it's 5 championships out of the 10 available last 10 years have gone to this organization.
Okay.
So it's Tappara Tampere.
Mm-hmm.
And he's there kind of this wunderkind kind of guy, but bit different than recent years is that seems to be that Finland goes in these funny cycles, is that it's 5 years we are bringing out all the best goalies, then again we have the best defensemen, then we have the forwards, and now it seems at the moment as I look at this year's draft class is that now we have really big two-way players available in in many different packages and sizes, and Suvanto is I think he's the pinnacle guy now.
He's 6'3". He's September birth, 2008, so he's one of the younger players in the draft. I think I heard somewhere that he's a few weeks away from being 2027 draft, so he's very young.
Mm-hmm.
And you mentioned the two-way play, and I watched an interview with him where he was asked to compare himself to a player. And, I've made fun of this for years, right? Whenever you go to the draft, it doesn't matter if you're in the first round or the seventh round. Whenever they start talking about comps for players, the only people they compare them to is the best players you've ever heard of.
Mm-hmm.
So, of course he says Barkov.
Yes.
But
it's not far away. Yeah. It's not far away because the whole thing. Okay, I think skill wise, like Alexander Barkov, he was like at 15. People already knew that this guy is going really high in the draft, and everybody already knew his potential because he was kind of like at 16 he was playing men's games and he was kind of not dominating, but he stood his ground already there. But also this guy here, he's like also the thing you didn't mention yet is that he's like 209, so he's 209 pounds. So he's not this like you usually have these really tall young players who are kind of like still look like thin and they're kind of like ropey hands and stuff. But this is kind of the whole package already, and it's like really interesting.
Now he finished the season, played 48 games in Liga, 2 goals, 9 assists, 11 points. But given his age, is that an impressive showing?
I'd say that given his age is with like Tappara, this year they had like huge commitment on like winning the championship again. Is that Finnish hockey is going through this reconstruction next year. So at the moment, the places are really important because there will be relegation next season from the main series down to the second. So they put a lot of money, and like how players usually like Oliver Suvanto, like young up and coming guys, is that even though they have more skill, they are played in like fourth, max third and fourth lines. So they don't get power play time that much, and usually they're like doing all the sort of like the working roles in the team.
So I'm looking at his stats. He plays in all the international tournaments. He is represented in all the important ways. And to be clear, I'm looking at a list that has him ranked as the third best European or quote unquote international skater behind Ivar Stenberg and Albert Schmitz, which means he's the top ranked Finnish prospect.
Mm-hmm.
It's unclear whether or not he'll fall to 17. I hope he does. But one of the things I liked the most about him was when I watched highlights of him, I have slowly over the last however many years come to mistrust players who look for goals for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
The player who feels like my team needs to win, and the way that my team will win is if I score the goal. Therefore, I must do everything I can to make sure that I score the goal.
Yeah.
Me personally, my eyebrows go up and I go, yeah, I don't like players that play that way. Watching highlights of Suvanto, I saw him making passes and playing, and this is why I referenced Finland hockey earlier. He seems to be, from my view, in limited highlight viewings, a prototypical Finnish player in that he plays the team game really, really well. And I saw him doing a lot of stuff that I liked. He's big, he goes to the net, he back checks, he forechecks, he protects the puck, he passes. I don't know the last time I was this smitten with a prospect.
Yeah, and kind of like how it's a bit way off still yet to call him like Alexander Barkov.
Sure,
but the thing is that they do have similarities. The thing is that Oliver Suvanto plays this like game that if you're not like well versed to watching hockey, is that he seems a bit like sluggish and what is he doing there and stuff. But he's doing these like small things on the ice that are not just like scoring and stuff. But he has like really low even at this age. He doesn't make mistakes. He plays the like the sort of the meta game in a way that he's placing himself correctly, not overextending and all this. So I think he's a really smart guy. And in a way, if you would describe Alexander Barkov, he's kind of the same.
So the player that kept
super good,
the player that kept coming to my mind, and this is going to be blasphemy, and I'm breaking my own rule of comparing players to insanely good players. The player that kept popping into my mind when they were describing him was Andrzej Kopitar.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, yeah, I remember when they drafted Andrei Kopitar. Like, even now, when we're 20 years, and Andrei Kopitar's just retired, he had a 20-year career. He'll be in the Hall of Fame, 2-time Stanley Cup winner, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Easily Hall of Fame, yeah.
And like, was he the fastest player ever? No. Was he the strongest player ever? Depends on how you want to measure strength, but he certainly wasn't, known for being physically imposing. He could protect the puck and he could stick lift and everything with the best when he won faceoffs. But like, I don't think of him as being uniquely strong. He wasn't the best shooter, although I thought his shooting was underrated. He wasn't
especially wrist shot, especially.
Yeah, from the slot, from the high slot. I still think there's nobody better, but that's what whatever he's done now. But I mean, the point is that like, if you had to highlight one physical ability of Andrei Kopitar, I'm not sure he tops out in the top 5 in any category. He wasn't the fastest. He wasn't the strongest. He didn't have the best shot. He didn't have the best passing, and yet, perennial Selke contender, incredibly smart player. And I guess that's, as I get older, the more I value hockey IQ or vision or whatever. And that's, you just described it. It seems like Suvanto is incredibly smart, and he's young, which means he has time to learn more, I guess.
Yeah, it does, I think. And in a way, he's also described as really like mature at the moment. So he kind of like, usually when like in Finnish hockey, they use the word mature, it means kind of that he would be ready to already take the step. So he wouldn't be staying in Liga anymore. So he would be mostly coming stateside already, straight off.
I'm a bit of a hypocrite because I always focus on shorter players and go, hey, you know what? Vigo Bjork, 5'9", why not? Right? Like, if you can play, you can play. But I got to tell you, the fact that Suvanto's 6'3" already and 209 is, it's compelling, right? Like,
it is, and like still as a center, I think that like brings him up in the like the draft choices, and I still think that we've been talking with a fellow friend of mine. We have this own little LA Kings clique here in Finland.
Sure.
We've been discussing that a guy like Oliver Suvanto, like with the centers at the moment, is that there is a spot for him there, especially like Dano leaving and stuff. So there would be like need for him already. But as I see it, kind of like with Finnish players, this might be a bit negative thinking, but they usually tend to stay in Ontario Reign for really long extended periods.
Yes, that is true. But yes, with the departure of Kopitar and with a new general manager, who knows, right? Like I have to confess, the part of me that likes younger players and is constantly looking to rebuild was like, Byfield Suvanto down the middle. Like, okay, I'm into it, and it would give Sammy Helenius someone to talk to in the locker room. So, although both of them speak English, so I don't know, but
yeah, especially now he needs the emotional support as his brother has been doing stellar in Buffalo Sabres, like the game-winning goal, like Finnish winning gold from Switzerland and stuff. So I think he'll need some like talking up to, like, you're a good player as well.
So we talked about that we were going to cover 4 prospects that might be drafted in the top 50 from Finland. Oscar Hemming is not listed on my list, so I'm going to leave it up to you. Do you want to talk about Pipparainen, Hemming, or Ala Lowry first?
In my list, Juho Piiparinen is the second one. Funnily enough, still have to add
about... or Pipparainen? Because I was pronouncing Pipparainen like Krister Kasurinen, but is it Pipparainen?
So basically, my surname is used Kasurinen, and this is Piiparinen.
Okay. Yeah. Have I been mispronouncing your name? I'm sorry.
No, it's like it's really hard. That's why I usually just the first name is that is easy with the Chris start. But in a way, still about Suvanto is that my books at the moment, what I've been reading, like Europe side, is that he's like roughly like late first, early second,
right?
So there would be definitely like a possibility.
I've seen him go anywhere from late top 10 to late first round, so you never know. But I just figure 17, okay, right in the middle of his spread of potential, so could possibly wind up being a game.
Yes. So going to Juho Piiparinen, now we have the interesting combo, but that everybody loves is that right shot defenseman.
Yeah, who's also 6'3" for the record.
Yes, I don't know what they're like feeding those guys, but it's like it seems that everybody is like 6 feet something and 2-0 or 2-1 something.
I feel like every Finnish prospect I looked at was at minimum 6'2".
Yeah. But basically, there's something in the drinking water also.
Yeah.
My 12-year-old son is already over 160 centimeters.
Jeez.
That's the Scandi size, they usually say. But again, Juho Piiparinen, again, same organization, Tappara. Mm-hmm. So again, it seems, in Finnish hockey, it seems at the moment, also with the scouting, is that the teams who are in these big cities like Tampere, is that they usually like levitate towards these. Like sometimes it's Helsinki, sometimes it's like Tampere, then they go to Turku with like Rantanen and Kaapo Kakko. But it seems this year that like Tampere has been like has had the best pick of the pool in Finland.
Okay.
Yeah.
And another situation where he played 29 games, only 3 points, but I'm assuming because of his age that and their desire not to be relegated. Same situation with Suvanto, that he just didn't get the playing time that he would have to get more points.
But yet again, I'd say that his play style, at least in my books, is that he's more leaning to this kind of a defensive defenseman, and that might also tell about his thing. And I'd say that he's kind of like at the moment at the level, if he would be playing in the NHL next year, I think he'd be like the 7th, and he's like top is like somewhere top 4 defenseman. So I doubt that he's kind of like this first pairing kind of guy, but I think he's like supplemental to like penalty kill and third line pairings.
So the reason that's interesting to me is that the Kings for years used the 1-3-1 neutral zone setup, and we spoke to former head coach Todd McClellan, we spoke to former GM Rob Blake, and it was pretty well known and admitted by the organization that the reason that the Kings targeted defensemen the way that they did was that the left defenseman would be on the left wall in the 1-3-1 setup. The left defenseman would be in the 3 part of the setup on the left wall. He would go forechecker is the 1, and then center would be the center of the 1-3-1, and then the left defenseman would be on the left side, and the other winger would be on the right side, and then your right defenseman would be the back player in the 1-3-1 who would go do puck retrievals. And then, so the Kings would get large, stay at home, relatively immobile, but physically imposing left defensemen to clog the neutral zone. And they would focus on slighter, faster, more mobile puck moving defensemen to get retrievals, because the right shot defenseman would be the one responsible for skating quickly back into the zone to retrieve, dump into puck, and then move the puck up the ice. They've abandoned that system, and so my hunch is that over time we will see the Kings get away from that pretty predictable method of acquiring players. Mm-hmm. Odo Saline, currently a Kings prospect, fits that mold, right? Shot defenseman who's a puck mover. So what you're saying then is that Pipparainen does not fit that mold. You're saying he's a right shot defenseman, but he's more a bigger stay-at-home.
Yeah, I think it's him. But I think what really, like, as I was reading through the whole thing, I think that he's like, why he's so high up in the draft is that still the rarity of the right shot defenseman.
Sure. Yeah, I mean,
that was like in many players. That's like it was in many places. So I think that's like bringing him up. But all in all, like all the what people are saying about him is that, again, really, really, really mature to his age, and also because of the size, he doesn't shy away from like men's games.
And to be clear, whether or not he goes in the first round or the second round, he's played on Finland's WJC under-18 team, played in multiple international tournaments, was on the WJC team, and as a 17-year-old is on a Liga team as well as a Meti team. Mesti, how do you pronounce that league?
Mestis. That's
okay.
That's the second highest level, and there's like these the Liga teams have these kind of like farm agreements with there are
Right.
different organizations, but they play them, especially with Tappara. I think they've had so much like bought players this season that
Mhm.
all their juniors, they have a really huge junior pool. They couldn't have fitted them all like to
Right.
play league.
So the point is just that, even if he's not highly ranked in international prospect rankings, his resume is there, right? He's a strong international player. He's a considerable. He's in the top 3 prospects of elite prospects from Finland, and I guess that brings us to the next name on the list, which is Oscar Hemming. Now he's playing in Boston College, so I don't know how much exposure you've had for Oscar Hemming, but he is also 17 years old, also 6'4", also a forward, and the fact that he's already come over to play in the States, I'm not sure what that says about his play as a Finn.
I think he's out of these. He would be the most fun to watch. He's kind of this like power forward kind of a guy, really energetic and likes huge big contact all the time. The word that's been mentioned with him several times is that he's a bit volatile, but I kind of think that he's also like already transitioned to the United States because of the thing is that he plays a very physical game.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's kind of like I'd say that out of these like 4, of course, like Suvanto is the obvious pick, but I read the most about him because it's always interesting to see like how they've ended up in like Boston and all this thing around him. So yeah, would be a fun guy to see also in King's roster.
So when you say you used a lot of language there that sort of hints at what kind of player he is, you said power forward. I can't remember that he's physical, etc. So I'm assuming that I'm looking at his strengths here listed: hockey IQ, size, long reach, strength, physicality, skating, net front presence, puck protection, playmaking, heavy wrist shot. But it doesn't sound like he's a playmaker.
No, but I'd say that he's the front of goal kind of guy who dodges only when the puck comes, nothing else.
Fair enough. So likes to go in the corners, likes to throw the body.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'd say that like to his size, he's also pretty like fast on the skates.
Mm-hmm.
So he can deliver like really, really rough like mid ice blows and stuff. So he's like all the things I watch from him is like boom, boom, boom. Okay, goal, but then again boom. So he is very physical in his play style.
Now, what I'm reading, he's literally listed as a low risk, high reward player with top 6 potential.
Yes.
He's listed as a forward, but can he play center, or is he a winger who can play either wing?
Yeah, I'd say that at the moment, like winger. There's like many like Finnish players tend to like when they come to the NHL, they tend to like a bit idle on the fact that are they a center or are they a winger? But I'd say that with him is that he might have played center at like some stages, but I'd still say that he's a winger.
And this is another guy where I've seen him, where he gets drafted, I've seen a massive spread. I see one place that says like, oh, he'll definitely go inside the top 20. And then other people say like, oh yeah, he's a 2nd round pick. So who knows?
The thing with my list is it's the projected range with me. That's the highest out of all these 4 picks. Is that from me? It's like anywhere from like 23 to 50.
Right.
Yet
I'm reading here. Some person says definitely top 20, and then the next person weighs in and says definitely top 15. So
yeah. And I think the rolling with him is I think the hard part is that he has, as you talked about, that he has the potential to be a top 6 power winger. Mm-hmm. But the thing is that is his potential still like at the 3rd wing, not 3rd wing, but 3rd line or the 4th line. So,
right. And I wonder playing in, I don't know how much weight location gets when it comes to scouting, but like the Kings, for example, have a ton of scouts that live in North America. Mm-hmm. And even if your region is not Boston, like let's say you're a college scout and your focus is the Midwest, you're going to see Oscar Hemming more than you're going to see Suvanto, just because the teams that you're focusing on will play Boston College more than they'll play Tappara. Whereas, the Kings European scouts, respected though they are, and as good as they are, I just wonder, is there a bias when a player plays, so for example, Hemming is playing at Boston College, not in Finland. So is it possible that there's a bias towards him, not just for the Kings, but for other teams? Like, does Boston take a look at him just because they see him all the time?
That can be one, but usually the thing is like story wise. Usually in Finland, what causes the players to go stateside is that they're in this like very promising like year of prospects, and their like regional team doesn't have any space for them. So this is a kind of a move, is that if it's like risky that you won't get that much like coverage and the scouts won't see you, is that they have are at the moment that it's like happening more often and often, is that they're already relocating stateside, and then they like sure that they'll get enough like coverage from the scouts.
There's been a ton of conversation recently about the NCAA changing its rules and allowing for transfers from the CHL. I wonder if there'll be similar influx of international players to NCAA now that NIL rules have changed and NCAA influence is sort of shifting, and that'll be interesting. When I started this project of looking at prospects, I ruled out goalies, and I told myself I would rule out right shot defensemen because goalies, it's the most unique position in sports. And so, the Kings have 4 goaltender prospects. And I just thought to myself, all right, well, there would be no point in drafting another goalie. And in my mind, just based on scarcity, right? You have 12 forwards or 13 forwards, 14 forwards on a roster, 6 or 7 defensemen, and 2 goalies. So the more goalies you draft, the fewer, the harder it is to slot them. Then the next more difficult is defensemen, and then finally forwards. You can draft a forward. He can be a top 6, bottom 6. There's a million different roles you can have as a forward. And I also ruled out, right shot defensemen because the Kings have Brandt Clark, Drew Doughty, and Henry Brustevich. And I thought to myself, well, Kings are not likely to look at right shot defensemen because of the depth they already possess at that position. But then I spoke to Mark Yannetti. That hasn't been published yet, so people listening to this, you can look forward to that. But I asked Mark straightforward, would the Kings avoid goaltenders or right shot defensemen because of the depth they possess in the system? And his answer was pretty straightforward, no. And his reasoning was depth can be eliminated in a matter of a few trades or a few injuries or unforeseen things. So he said, it needs to be basically a conveyor belt or shark teeth. And so I had to rethink my position. And so it's with that in mind that we go to the 4th player we're going to talk about, and the second right shot defenseman on your list, Samu Alalaurie,
yes,
who is also a right shot defenseman, and again, also 6'2", minimum height 6'2",
as they usually are. Yes,
yeah, he's 18, so he's not as young as some of the other guys. But what can we say about Samu?
Pretty much I'd say the same. As with you would go with like Juho Piiparinen, but I'd say with Samu Alalaurie, he might be, even though he's like the potential isn't as high, that I think he's more like offensive minded in a way. And to put on that whole thing you said about having enough right shot defensemen, is that we are already facing the thing that Drew Doughty is not going to continue his career forever. So
sure.
So getting, and I'd say that, like, now that I listen to you, I'd say that Samu Alalaurie would be kind of like better fit for the Kings organization, and to see like if he develops.
When you say better fit, you mean just because of the path forward and the timeline and everything?
No. I'd say better fit in a way is that he's like a bit more offensive minded, and still, if what you were telling me about the defensive defenseman is that I think he might fit the role a bit better in a way.
Now he is. I see that he's listed as committed to University of Massachusetts for the 27-28 season, which is projecting out a while. Mm-hmm. And he doesn't have quite the resume as the other players. He did not play in Liga. He did not play in the World Junior Championships. but he did play in the Hlinka Gretzky Cup. I mean, he
Mhm.
does have international tournament experience, but he spent all of last season in Sarja. Is that how you pronounce that?
Sorry, yeah,
Sorry, isn't that? I'm
yeah,
assuming that's the league, right?
yeah,
Playing for the Pelicans under 20 and under 18 team.
the U20 team.
Yeah. Now, is this a guy who is a second? Like, is this a guy that we're looking at maybe in the second round?
Definitely, it's
Okay.
like I'd say that he's like projected range is that like we were discussing about top 50, but I
Yeah.
included him because he's around like in my books he's like 45 to 80. So
Okay.
he might be there in the second round, but yet again, I don't know that like every aspect of his gameplay. So he might
Sure.
also like fall short like third or fourth round pick.
Yeah, and the reason I cut it off at 50 when you and I talked is the Kings have the 46th and 49th pick. And already when you get to 46 and 49, you're already dealing with orders of magnitude when it comes to variables and like who knows what'll happen, trades and teams taking guys that you don't know about. And maybe your team moves up, maybe your team moves down, maybe the 46th pick is packaged with something else. Who knows, basically. And then you start getting into tiers and what players are available, and is there a run on goalies or a run on defensemen, and teams start panicking. But Samuel Alalaurie, is he a project type player? Like, you mentioned some of the other guys we talked about as being potentially NHL ready relatively quickly. Is Alalaurie the kind of guy who maybe gets drafted, spends 3 years playing in Finland, and then never signs an entry level, and it just didn't pan out, but you have to respect his size? Or is he more of a guaranteed player someday?
I'd think that he's the kind of a player because of his background is that he
Mhm.
hasn't had any men's games yet. Is
Okay.
that like considering the last like 10 to 20 years, like I have more knowledge on it, is that usually NHL requires if he doesn't go stateside, he's at least it will be good for him to play in Liga.
Mm-hmm.
Because like it seems at the moment that it's like every interview I listen like from here or from the United States is that they're always talking about like when are the players ready to play men's games, and
Right.
like Finland with Liga also has this sort of an upside in like NHL being NHL ready is that the rinks are smaller than for example in like Sweden or Switzerland and stuff. So this is pretty rough series in a way, like physical, and it requires strength. So playing in the men's games, it's not even if you would be really like talented and skillful, is that still if you're like 5 foot, no, okay, this might be a bit small, but 5'4" and weigh
Sure.
120 pounds, is that
Yeah.
you'll get pounded to ashes in that series.
Yeah.
So I'd say that definitely a project. I see him signing to an NHL team, but I'd see that it's not still going to happen during like 2026, 2027 season.
Okay.
Yeah.
And before we let you go, Christopher, and I appreciate you coming on as always, I'm going to throw you a curveball and ask you about a player that you may not have prepared for.
Hmm?
And that is Petteri Rimpinen, the goaltender that the Kings drafted, who is currently playing for Keiko Espoo. And he signed an extension to stay in Finland for one more year. He doesn't have an entry-level contract for the Kings, but I'm curious how good he is, because the Kings took him, I don't remember off the top of my head right now what round they took him in, but I want to say it was the 5th. He's a goaltender. He's a Finnish goaltender, and as you said,
Mhm.
the Finns had a run there for a while where they were churning out pretty good goaltenders.
Yes.
I think his nickname was Mr. Showtime.
I was just about to go there. So yeah.
Okay,
Mr. Show. Yeah.
So sell me on Mr. Showtime.
Mr. Showtime, so Petteri Rimpinen, in a way, is that at least now during this summer's playoffs, they said that he was the biggest contributor of like Espoo getting to the playoffs.
Okay.
He's a phenomenal young goalie with like I've been really interested. The moment I heard that Kings drafted him is that I'm just been kind of like waiting, because he's already like the first goalie in his team in Liga with such young age. And there's like, okay, he plays well. It's a flashy kind of play what he does. You can see that he's like really he enjoys playing, but also like all the like the media aspects and stuff. He doesn't shy away from the camera, and like he has good English already and stuff. I see that, like, I would want to see him at least get a spot in the Kings roster. Of course, I think again through like 75 years in Ontario reign, but at some stage it would be nice.
This should not matter, but I have to say his pads that he wore, I think it was in the World Juniors, with the Northern Lights, with the Aurora Borealis on them. They were gorgeous. They were beautiful.
Yeah, it is. I have actually a friend who's a YouTuber. He already made this sort of a home video with him. Is that they were like playing NHL on console and they were discussing. There was a bit of a like longer discussion. I like the guy, although he plays in Espoo, so that's the nearest city from Helsinki, and he's a kind of a rival here. But yet again, it's always nice to see him play. And I'd say that for his age, in a while, I haven't seen a goalie so talented in Finland.
I wonder sometimes if his size will hold him back, because he's quote unquote only 5'11", taller than me. But nowadays people want goalies who are 6'4". But all right, good to hear that it's not all made up in Kings fans' heads, that the Finns are high on him as well.
And he has earned his nickname, Mr. Showtime. Yeah. If you ever get to see him play, you'll see it.
Hopefully he'll sign an entry-level contract next summer or sometime during this year, and we'll get a chance to see him in North America. Krister, listen, it's really nice catching up with you. Nice to talk to you. Thank you for doing this. Thanks for taking a look at Finnish prospects for us, and wish you all the best.
Anytime. Thanks. It was nice being here again.